Chapter 11. I don't understand, Bill said, staring in dismay at the empty walls and desk in Jessica's office. I sold the paper to Kevin because I knew the two of you would get along so well. You did what you thought was best, Bill, don't worry about it, she said, assuring her former boss. Kevin and I had parting of the ways earlier this week. I didn't talk about it, there is no way you could have known. Are you sure Kevin knows? When we signed the papers last night, he was positively delighted to have a chance to work with you as a silent owner in the business. He told me that he would let you run the day-to-day operations of the paper, as you saw fit. Bill pleaded. I agreed that Emma and I would stay on to help you out for as long as you needed us. I can't believe you would pack up your things and leave just like that. It was hardly just like that, Jessica thought. Last night, after the phone call, it had taken her some time to calm down. David had been as helpful as he could be, and she hoped that she hadn't seemed too hateful to him. After all, this was not his fault. She had come down to her office late last night, toting several empty boxes from the grocery store. It had taken her 4 hours to sort through her office, and each small item she packed tugged heartstrings. There were clippings of Philip's achievements, snapshots of Emma, Bill and Teresa at Christmas office Christmas parties, showing off exchanged gifts. A picture of Teresa with her little girl, newborn in the hospital. A key to the city presented to her by the mayor for her tireless work on behalf of community development. There were also memories that made her sad as well, the pictures of friends and neighbors who had passed away over the years. After long hours of work, she finally had the 4 boxes in her car, and several trash bags sitting out by the curb for the next morning's pickup. She sat down at her desk, and dropped some fish food in the tank. The tank was too difficult to move and the fish were happy here, Jessica thought, so she would ask Teresa to take care of them from now on. I am going to miss you, kiddies, she said to the glass. They are going to miss you too. Jessica half spun, half jumped out of her chair, and her heart slowed down when she realized it was David standing in the doorway. Sorry, didn't mean to startle you there. That's okay, Jessica said, sitting back down. I just didn't hear you come in. It's got to be hard, after all of these years, leaving this place, he said. Have you decided what you are going to do? Well, for now I am going to help you with the house, and after that, I guess I will find another job. She shrugged. I can certainly use the help, no denying that. In fact, I was going to ask you if you would be willing to work for me until the house is presentable. I can pay you the same basic salary you were making here, assuming newspapers pay as little as I think they do, he said with a grin. You don't have to pay. Yes, I do, he proclaimed in a commanding tone of voice. You have already put in a lot of work and asked nothing for it, and I am not going to take advantage of you. Well, he thought, I would dearly love to take advantage of you, in a way that has nothing to do with renovating a house. David, if you want to work with me, he said firmly, then I am going to pay you for your time, and that's the way it is going to be. Jessica thought about it for a moment, and said with a coy smile, I can live with that. Do I get any fringe benefits? David put his finger under his chin, and appeared to consider. Well, I don't know about things like insurance, but I can guarantee you we will have a firm sexual harassment policy. Firm as in yes, I am going to sexually harass you. No, he smiled. Firm as in I am not going to sexually harass you. Darn, that's no fun, she said, since we are already friends. I mean, I wouldn't actually like it if a real boss of mine actually tried something like that, and she frowned thinking back to the reason that she was packing. Yeah, David said, his eyes catching the look of concern that had crossed her face. You know, you can just drop your key by Bill and Emma's house, and not have to deal with what's going to end up an ugly scene in the morning, David suggested, all sounds of levity out of his voice. Yeah, I thought about that, Jessica nodded, but well, I just can't let it go at this. I can't just sneak out in the middle of the night. Kevin is acting like a bully. Just because you have the money to buy this place doesn't mean that you are bought by the people who work here too. The only way to beat a bully is to stand up to them, and that's what I am going to do. David walked over to where she stood and reached out his hand for hers. She grabbed it softly. You have no idea how much I respect you, your toughness, your spirit. You are amazing, he said. He pulled her into his chest, and in the still of the night they embraced. Good morning, everybody. Are we all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and ready to put in a hard day reporting the news? Kevin said as he entered the office. Bill and Emma were standing behind the front counter with dark looks on their faces, with Jessica nearby. Good morning, Kevin, Jessica said with a smile that flashed dangerous. I didn't think that snakes got out this early. I must be mistaken about that. Careful, there, Jess, talk like that will make your new boss very angry. Why, you dirty no good. Enraged, Bill started to walk towards the door, only to be stopped by Emma's firm grip. No, dear, stay out of it. The reptile is about to get what he has coming. The smile faded from Kevin's lips as he realized he was outnumbered 3-1. Look, Jess, he said, I was just. Don't you look, Jess, me, you overgrown pile of pond scum, she growled. Let me explain things to you using little bitty words so that even somebody with your limited intellect can understand them. First, my friends call me Jess. You can call me Ms. Thomas. Better yet, don't call me anything at all. I quit. You owe me 3 weeks' worth of vacation, and 12 days of sick leave that I have coming. You owe me 1 week and 3 days' worth of salary, too, and you can send the check to my home address. You are never, ever, to talk to me again. I don't ever want to be reminded that I am even on the same planet that you are on. Jess, he tried. Shut up, she snapped. All of my former company equipment is in my former office. Also sitting on my former desk is an envelope that contains the 2 necklaces that you gave me as presents. You can stick them where the sun doesn't shine. She turned to Bill and Emma and said, I'll call you later. I love you guys, thanks for everything. With a small smile, she told them, I don't need you anymore, and she walked out the door without looking back. Well, that was unpleasant, Kevin said, turning back to Bill and Emma. I don't suppose you want to buy a newspaper. Sorry, Snake Boy, we are retired, Bill said. Not exactly, Kevin said with a slight grin. You may recall you promised to stay on to help until the new editor had things well in hand. I believe I have that in writing. Actually, Emma said with an evil smile, pulling out a piece of paper. If you check that document you drew up with Bill, it says that we will help out until she tells us that she doesn't need us anymore. Which, as you recall, was about 3 minutes ago. So, we are now officially retired. I hope you are a good writer, and quick too, Bill said with a grin that matched Emma's. You are coming up on deadline, and there's not been a darn thing done on next week's edition. We will pack our things and be out of your way by noon. Kevin watched the walk off with a sinking feeling in his stomach, which only got worse when he heard his cell phone ring. A frantic look at the clock showed that he was already late for court. This morning was not nearly as fun as he had thought it was going to be. Well, it's over with, Jessica sighed. It's so weird. For the first time in years, I don't have any meetings to go to, deadlines to meet. On the one hand it's kind of neat, but it's also pretty scary. Your cell phone is on the table over there. I found it this morning, David said as he was pouring a mixture of water and a white powder in a bucket. She talked and watched David stirring up drywall mud in a bucket. You must have played ball when you were younger, he said. You really got some distance in that toss. It landed soft, though. I don't think it was damaged. I am surprised you could find it at all, the way it went into the woods, she said with a grin. Well, he replied, I cheated. I called the number from my cell phone and listened for yours to ring. Good thing it didn't rain last night, he said, handing her a trowel. Let me show you how to do this, he said. He led her to the wall where a seam appeared in the newly installed wall surface, and showed her how to apply the seam sealant. She reached in the bucket with the towel, trying to imitate his smooth, cat-like movements, and managed only to drop a large pile of the gooey stuff on the floor. It's okay, you'll get it, he said. Let me show you again. He turned her around, and grabbed her hand on the trowel from behind. Pressing his body up against hers, they dipped the tool into the wet mud, and quickly applied it to the wall. The two of them caressed the filler into the cracks on the wall, and David was surprised to find that his hand was also caressing her stomach. Sorry about that," he said, backing off. "I'm not, I liked it," she said with a grin. "I can't wait until you teach me how to hammer. Or perhaps," she reached over to a nearby pile of tools and picked up a screwdriver, "you can teach me what this funny-looking thing is for. I think it's called a screwdriver. Are you going to teach me all about screwing?" David turned 4 different colors of red. "Perhaps we need to revise our sexual harassment policy to state that employees should not make sexual advances on their boss." "No way, Buster," she said with a fierce grin. "I have already quit one job today. Don't make me have to quit another, especially over sexual harassment. The mud is drying, we need to get it on the walls," he said seriously. She did her best, and after a few attempts she started to get a feel for the job. Out of the side of his eyes, David watched her work and enjoyed the view. David had spent most of the morning working on the inside of a fireplace mantel in the main room, sealing up the bricks where the mortar had decayed. To Jessica, it seemed like a waste of time, and finally she couldn't stop herself from saying so. "Nobody will ever see it. Why are you wasting so much time on it?" Jessica said briskly. "It's just like the roof, it wasn't leaking and it looked fine. Why didn't you just leave it be if you are in such a hurry to get things done? There is a right way and a wrong way to do things," he said. "Like this." He pointed at the loose railing in the main staircase, which showed several cobbled attempts at repairs. "Somebody just stuck some nails in this and hoped it would hold for a while, instead of popping this board out and gluing it back like it should have been. So, instead of a 20-minute job, I am going to have to take these all out and fabricate new ones. There is no way I can fix this." "Well, some people don't have a lot of carpentry skills and have to make do as best they can," she said, stomping out of the room towards the back of the house. She had felt a sting as he criticized the work on the staircase, and had taken it personally. He couldn't have known that it was Jessica, who had tried to fix the staircase years ago for Mrs. Taggett, who could not afford to have a carpenter do the repairs. She breathed deeply, forcing herself to calm down and get her anger back under control. She walked back into the main room, and walked over to the staircase. Her repair had been energetic, if nothing else. Even the small amount of experience she had gained by helping David helped her understand how bad the repair job actually was. "I am sorry if I made you angry," he offered. "Don't worry about it. I am a little sensitive sometimes. I am going to fix this for you," she said. "No offense intended, Jess, but that's going to be kind of a tricky job now with all that mess that's made there. You don't have the skills to do that." "No, I don't," she conceded. "I don't at this point in time. But you are going to show me how to fix it, and I am going to make it as good as new." David considered for a minute, and nodded slowly. "Well, all right then, that job is yours. For now, though, we need to get these windows caulked up.